Today on Locked On Rockies, a bit of a reality check for the Colorado Rockies. Dollander gets rocked again, but that's not necessarily a reason to be super worried.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 10th day of March in the year 2025. I'm your host of the Locked On Rockies podcast, Paul Holden, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? We are your free and streaming daily Rockies podcast, available on the Locked On Podcast Network. And you can also find us on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel, where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. And that's the best way to interact with the show. That's the best way to let me know what's on your mind. We can join forces and talk topics together, because I want to talk about what is on your mind as Rockies fans here. And I want to bring you the topics and everything that you want to hear about. So let me know there on the Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section. Make sure you're liking and subscribing the videos as well. Today on the show, we're going to talk about the Rockies getting a bit of a reality check over the weekend here, being outscored 16-1 by the Athletics and the Mariners this weekend. Of course, Chase Dollander getting a chance to get another start, and it did not go that well. But no reason to hit the panic button too fast on him, getting his only real second start of actual major league, not, minor league, and mix though still, of course, of mix of major and minor leaguers. But this is a learning moment, and a moment here where, again, it's starting to set the stage for adjustments. Again, this is how do you get ready and prep for spring as you're continuing to craft and figure out who's on the roster? And there's some eye-opening stats for some of the bench players that Purple Rose put together that we're going to go through today as well. But I want to start with Chase here. And again, not a good performance whatsoever. 1 2/3 innings, 5 runs, 2 hits, and 4 walks, and threw 50 pitches. Reading some stats here from Thomas Harding's Dollander getting plenty of homework from tough spring training outings. So, of course, of course you can sit there and just harp on what happened there against the Athletics. But this is the time to go through an experience for this. And I think it's a sign that he might not be ready to make the opening day roster. And that's okay. Like that, for me, it's okay, because with the Rockies, with the way the rotation is, and I know how the game ended up yesterday, but Ryan Feltner, had a nice little solid appearance there, looking pretty good, as this team is looking like it's going to be able to start the season with the rotation that we kind of anticipated that it having. And Chase, I think with these two starts, there's only a handful of weeks left. I don't know how much convincing he'll do with these two starts under his belt, but get that time and go through the lumps, go start learning this, go through this experience now, so you can get better prepared for an eventual debut that I think could still certainly happen this year. The team could be completely different after the trade deadline or injuries or something like that. So it's not a total failure. It's really not a failure at all if Dollander doesn't make the opening day roster. That would have been an added bonus of, wow, this guy is coming out and he's shoving and he's doing everything, and boom, we have no other choice but he's forced our hand to put him in there. So with the couple of Rocky starts here, it's not completely throw in the towel and go, whoa, woe is me. It ain't gonna work. Because that's not truly the situation. That's not truly the case for the Colorado Rockies here with this. It's not the case for Chase. You know what I'm saying? But there are some things that he will have to work on, and this is what he told MLB.com and told Thomas Harding here after the appearance. I talked to Daryl Scott afterwards and figured out I was yanking a little bit, Dollander said. So I plan on working on my bullpen to get ready for the next one, kind of to flush this one and keep going. They're definitely more selective. They're trained to be that way. They're big leaguers for a reason, so they know the zone. But in my case, you kind of have to set them up to be able to swing out of the zone, and I didn't really do a good job of that today. So again, this is now we've seen, 4 starts here, and this is what Harding has to say. Dollander's first 2 starts were mostly pleasant. However, he yielded 3 home runs to the Giants' Young Ho Lee in his Cactus League debut and to the Diamondbacks' Eugenio Suarez and A.J. Vukovich. Lee's homer came on a pitch that would have been in danger anywhere in professional baseball. The others were close to good location, but where he wants to pitch requires a higher execution level. So, here's what Bud Black adds about it being a disappointment. Chase is going against lineups that are a little bit more talented than what he's seen in the lower minor leagues. So it's good for him to see the at-bats, see more discriminating hitters, and he'll take pitches they might not expand. He'll take pitches they might not expand the zone, and location and throwing strikes is very important for a major league pitcher. He's learning the importance of repeating the delivery. When he mentions yanking some pitches, he's sort of pulling off, and everything is headed towards the left-handed hitter's box. These are things that he can straighten out for sure. So get the delivery in order, be able to repeat it, and I think the pitch consistency will occur. So yeah, I mean it's. This is the time to go through it right now. This is the moment to keep working on and training with. And this is also a moment, again, where this coaching staff and the development staff of the Colorado Rockies has to help him. So it's like, okay, so how do we help you with these yanking things? What are we doing to help get you more prepared for the game? Mixed with, it's just going to come through reps. It's just going to come through experience. It nails it there when you're not used to going up against opposition that are as picky as some of these guys. When you're going up against deeper lineups, closer to the professionals there, then you're going to be dealing with some players that are going to give you more fits, and now is the time to learn. But I think it's still okay if he goes through and he has another. I think he's going to pitch against the Guardians here. Yeah, Thursday against the Guardians is his next appearance. Go up. If this is a shot for you to find more success than missteps in over half of your spring training starts. This sets up for, all right, what do I need to make sure that I'm doing? Because it looks like, I'm imagining if he pitches against the Guardians, he should still get at least another start, I would imagine, here. Because after that Guardians game, there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 spring training games here for with the Rockies. So again, some cuts and some changes will have to be made here before that, but there's still plenty of opportunity for Chase to, I still think those 2 starts probably sink the hopes, sinks the chances of an opening day roster spot. But again, I'm not calling that a failure of a spring training. I'm calling that a, hey, this is a good sample, not only of getting the reps and getting the work against the good talent, but what it takes to go through the grind of professional baseball, right? Making the adjustments, being consistent, right? Getting that delivery, getting that rhythm there that you need to develop and stick with it and be able to recreate and replicate that. It's not an overall bad thing if he doesn't make the opening day roster. There is going to be an ample opportunity for him to still pitch in the major leagues in 2024, but it just might come a little bit later, especially as the Rockies navigate the trade deadline and possibly make moves. Of course, we have to underline and circle possibly there, because who knows exactly what the Rockies might do when it comes to this situation. But you're looking at a situation in which you don't need to force Chase getting up here. You don't need to force him immediately being a starter and rushing him into a situation in which he could use a little bit more time to develop. But things could still change. I do wonder what they're looking for here throughout the rest of this spring training with him, to see what they're going to go and deal with here when it comes to getting him on the team. I just don't necessarily sit there and think the big question, right, I guess, would be with Chase and if he's going to get that spot is, what is going to happen with Gomber? We're still watching that Gomber injury here, and how severe that will be. That could be certainly something that that is an impact for the Rockies as well. Let's see. I haven't seen much on an update with this shoulder. This is still from March 2nd. So basically last weekend is when the Rockies were starting to deal with this. So that'll be an interesting development as well, to see how the Rockies will address and handle that. Will there be other arms that they go to? But if you were looking for how does Chase Dollander make the lineup, how does he make the opening day roster, it's going to come from not only improving where he is, but also where is Austin Gomber at? Where is he in terms of getting himself ready to go? If he hasn't been able to pitch, if he hasn't been able to do much this spring, then what are you going to do? What are you like? What is the plan to fill in for that time with no Gomber? So that certainly could be something where you got to keep your eyes on and to keep your eyes peeled for that. But anyway, unfortunately, this was the bad trends for Rockies offense continues, and why another example of a reality check for this weekend, because they need to start making adjustments to fixing this stuff, because we can sit here and say it doesn't matter, it's spring and yada yada yada, but these trends are the same thing that have been the biggest problem with the Rockies. And it's going to sound like a broken record, but Purple Rose got some stats for us that we need to keep in mind here when we're talking about just how big of a problem these areas are. Let's talk about that coming up next in today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes FanDuel. FanDuel has got you covered, and they got you ready for all the madness. FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. You can go and follow the underdogs, or maybe you want to go with your alma mater and say they're going all the way. FanDuel makes it easy to back them with spreads, totals, and game props. And with all the action going on just about every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is super easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly, no waiting around. Visit FanDuel.com, that's FanDuel.com, to get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Don't forget, MLB futures available as well. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast, for free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where your team is found every day. And if your team is the Colorado Rockies, guess what? You're in the right spot, because that's what we do around here each and every day, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you that daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. Remember, really do appreciate the support for the show. Really do appreciate when you head on over to the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. Love reading your comments to finish up the show. It's our favorite segment, number 3, to do. So remember, if you got comments, you got thoughts, you want to let me know what's on your mind, let me know. And I just realized in that first segment, I think I said Chase's last name about 3 different ways. Dollander. It's a little early when I record sometimes, so got to, it's like a lawnmower. Although you gotta kind of get it going once it's rocking and rolling. Sometimes it sputters out a little bit there. Anyway, we head to Purple Row now. The Rockies' bad offensive trends are on display this spring, and oh boy, you do not. Again, if you were worried about a repeat of last year, this will not help you. Now, let's put the disclaimer here from Evan Lang here first. With a record of 10-5, the Rockies are hanging around the middle of the pack when it comes to most offensive statistics. They even find themselves in the top 10 across the league in hits, doubles, RBIs, batting average, and on-base percentage. It's a nice change of pace after back-to-back 100-loss campaigns. With another losing season on the horizon as the team goes through growing pains, spring training is also providing Rockies fans with some short-lived winning baseball. Okay, good news. Here is the bad news. Spring training is also important when it comes to identifying trends for the upcoming season. These trends could be overall team composition or strategy as pitchers stretch out and develop their arsenals and hitters apply the team's hitting philosophy to their plate approach. Unfortunately, when it comes to Rockies hitters, we are seeing the continuation of an all too familiar trend: a lack of power at the plate and an exceedingly high strikeout rate. The Rockies have had one of the highest strikeout rates in baseball over the last 2 seasons. In 2023, they had the third most, and 2024, they missed on having the most strikeouts in baseball by just 8 strikeouts. 15 games into spring training, and the strikeouts continue. The Rockies have struck out a fourth most 159 times so far and are striking out roughly 10.6 times per game with a team strikeout percentage of over 29%. Leading the pack is Sam Hilliard after decreasing his strikeout rate both during spring training and the regular season in 2024. Hilliard has seen his progress and potentially a spot on the opening day roster evaporate. He's tied for the third most strikeouts in the league this spring with 12 and is currently striking out in half of his at-bats. Behind Hilliard are two of the usual suspects. Jordan Beck has struck out 10 times in 26 at-bats for a 38.5% strikeout rate. And Michael Toglia sits in third place with 9 strikeouts and roughly a 32% strikeout rate. Ezekiel Tovar, Ryan McMahon, and Nolan Jones are tied at 8 each. McMahon in particular, always a high strikeout batter, stands out with a miserable 42% strikeout rate in just 19 at-bats. This is the stuff that boils the blood, man. Again, this is the stuff where it's not just talent on the team, and it's certainly a part of that as well. I mean, these are names, we are reading off names out here that are not names that are unfamiliar to the Colorado Rockies and how things are and their roster the last couple of years. This is the big red flag we were looking to avoid. 10.6 strikeout. That is just recreating last year. It's just the same rate. And if you started the season today, if things were just immediately start, and I know they're not, the Rockies will be a bottom feeder when it comes to striking out, and it is a huge problem. A huge problem. The rate that these guys strike out. I mean, these it's not just and I get it, small sample size, but it's not a small sample size when you expand it out to the fact that we know that strikeouts are a massive problem for the Colorado Rockies. So again, you're stuck with the same staff. You're sticking with the same philosophy. You're sticking with similar players in the roster and in the lineup. So what are you going to do differently to help this team get better at not striking out? What does this team need to do to start working on its plate discipline? Is it analytics? Is it different coaching? Is it more research? Is it just going through the lumps and hoping that it's going to get better when the regular season starts? This isn't something that I can just chalk up to and just say, oh, it's spring training, because this is the type of stuff that will carry over. This is the type of stuff that's going to be a massive problem for the Colorado Rockies again this season. When the team still throughout this thing is striking out at over 10 times, 10.6, and it was on 10, not fully one strikeout over. But when it's that bad and when it's that noticeable, and when guys like Hilliard are regressing, what are we doing? Like what is and is not working for these guys? What is going on here when you're talking about, oh, we should be better at this, we need to do this, how are they going to get better? What is the coaching staff and the philosophy? How is that shifting and changing to start changing these trends? Because it hasn't changed in almost 3 seasons now. If the Rockies go through and not only struggle this year, but are a team that strikes out a ton, that's 3 seasons. That is 3 seasons of a team being washed away because they can't connect with the ball. They're not seeing the ball and they're striking out. Again, this is crazy here. Ryan McMahon is striking out a 42% rate this spring training. The key parts of the Rockies offense have multiple strikeouts. Again, let's see. The Rockies have struck out, team strikeout percentage of over 29%. That means over a quarter of the time the Rockies are striking out. And again, this is where if you're a frustrated Rockies fan and you start hearing these type of statistics and you start seeing this, that's the type of stuff that sticks out more to me than the winning baseball of spring training. The fact that the Rockies have been doing this, and it's not just the strikeouts; it's that lack of power as well, as Evan points out here. Let's go through here. But I do want to add this last thing from Evan when it comes to striking out. While spring training stats should always be taken with a grain of salt, striking out this much represents a continuation of a trend for the Rockies. They struggle with pitch recognition and plate discipline. This could potentially be hand-waved away if they were doing a lot more damage to the ball, but unfortunately, we are seeing another trend continue this spring, a lack of power at the plate. Since the COVID-shortened 2020 season, the Rockies have seen the power drain from their once thunderous bats. As a team, they haven't been above league average in home runs since 2018. They bottomed out in 2022 with the fourth fewest home runs in franchise history, behind the two shortened seasons of 2020 and 1994 and the expansion year in 1993. And in 2023, with the fourth fewest home runs in the league. Thus, in this far in spring training, the Rockies are tied for the fewest home runs in the league with the San Diego Padres at just 11. Just 8 Rockies hitters have launched a home run so far, and only 3 have 2 home runs: Brenton Doyle, Michael Toglia, and Nick Martini, a non-roster invitee who might not make the opening day roster. For the Rockies, the combination of too many strikeouts and not enough home runs is the continuation of a trend. They struggle to find a hitting philosophy that works for them under this current coaching staff. At this time last year, hitting coach Hensley Mullins was frustrated. Again, so this is 2024 this time. I was embarrassed to be part of leading the league in strikeouts. We don't hit homers. If you don't hit homers, it's something different. When you don't hit homers and you compound it by striking out, something's got to change. Okay. I know that's last year. I know that's not here, but like that's what I mean. Something's got to change. Something's got to go different. Something's got to happen. Something's got to do. Okay, you're the coaching staff. You are the guys that are in charge of getting these guys, in the best spot to succeed and make adjustments. So when this trend continues, this is when you start pointing the fingers again at the organization and say, why should we? What did we expect differently? Why did we say this team that has now struggled 2 years in a row and is continuing the same trends that are worrisome? Why are we? Why should we be surprised when the same thing happens, when we keep sticking to the same process, sticking to the same philosophies, sticking to the same coaching staffs? It shouldn't be that surprising when we sit here and say, for us Rockies fans to be like, I'm not that surprised to hear that the Rockies are striking out and have a lack of power. It's been the case for a couple of seasons now. There hasn't been a big change. They haven't changed the coaching staff. They haven't drastically changed the roster. So why should I be surprised that this trend is continuing? So this stage right here, at this point right here in the spring, it isn't just on the players. This is on the coaching staff and the organization. Get your team better prepared. Figure out what's going to work and start helping out the approach at the dish. And I know that's easy to say, but that's what their job is. The job of the hitting coach and the coaching staff in general is to prepare and get this team ready to go. But this trend, it's not just a spring training trend. This happened last year, and it happened a year before that. This is a problem with the Rockies offense from the top down. You cannot be a powerless team in a hitter-friendly environment that strikes out all the time. It's literally the biggest recipe of disaster, especially at home for the Colorado Rockies. You can't be that. You can't have that composition as a team. And we've talked about how brutal the Rockies' road schedule and really schedule overall is. I mean, the Rockies play the majority of just good teams throughout the rest of the season or throughout the season. So why do I get so fired up about this part of the offense is because this isn't something I'm just chalking up to spring training. This isn't something I'm chalking up to just small sample size. Ryan McMahon has a strikeout problem. He's got a strikeout problem in spring, and it hasn't been adjusted. Ryan McMahon, his strikeout problems haven't been fixed basically his entire career. Michael Toglia, he's got strikeout problems. He's playing a big role on this team this year. How are you going to help him get better? How are you going to help him get better prepared and have an approach at the dish where the Rockies don't look so lost, where the Rockies don't look so uncompetitive? Why are other teams so? Is it just a difference in just skill? Is that at the baseline that the pitchers that the Rockies go up against are just that much better than the talent of the Colorado Rockies? Or is it a fact that they're more prepared? They have a better plan of attack. They have a better philosophy. You tell me. I mean, because again, it obviously takes work from the players to get better. But when you've stuck with the same guys in the same roles, in the same positions, and gotten the results that the Rockies have, and then expect it all to just magically wash away and become something different, that's not how it's going to work. And I know Bam Bam hasn't been here a while, but let's not act like Bam Bam has come and reinvigorated this offense over his small stint in purple. And again, Bud Black's whole thing is not offense. That's not what he's known for. This is a huge problem. Massive, massive problem. If the Rockies finish spring training with similar strikeout rates, similar spot they are, no matter what the spring training record is, no matter what it is, that's what your big takeaway should be. Because that will be a problem, and that will be something that will plague the Rockies because they will continue to strike out an average 10 strikeouts a game. And that is a massive, massive, massive problem. All right, let's take some comments from the Locked On Rockies YouTube comments section and put a bow on this Monday edition of the Locked On Rockies podcast. That's coming up next on Locked On Rockies. Locked On Rockies here, wrapping things up for today with our segment number 3, which we often do with our Locked On Rockies YouTube comment section, getting the takes, getting the thoughts, getting what's on your mind when it comes to the Colorado Rockies. So let's dive in here. Texas Danger says it is indeed time to worry for Nolan Jones. Just a simple yes when answering the question, is it time for the Colorado Rockies to worry about Nolan Jones? Timothy Adams says the most important part of the schedule is the non-division teams. They have to be competitive against everyone. The division will be tough. Yeah, that's an understatement there. it is going to be a good division this year. Where are we at with the Giants? What do we think the Giants are going to do this year? Are we vibing with the Giants? Because they're the ones that are still a little bit weird out there. Because the rest of it, I'm pretty confident. Hopefully, the Rockies are able to continue to be a curse for the Padres, because that's always fun. All right. Adam says, Locked On Rockies, what's up? It's time to win. Go Rockies. Ezekiel Tovar will have his best season this year, maybe MVP. Ryan McMahon needs to get a new contract and do something. It's good at least the Colorado Rockies have German Marquez. I'm not with you on MVP. I think that'll be a little bit too much of a stretch, but Tovar should be primed for the best season of his career, and Tovar can be a big difference maker, someone that could drive some real change, I think, within the organization. He's going to have to come with some adjustments for himself as well. He's someone that's still dealing with the strikeouts and still dealing with some stuff that he's adjusting to. Of course, I mean, we know that strikeouts are a big problem for him. So he's going to be someone that the Rockies certainly are going to rely on. Same with Ryan McMahon. I'm curious what the contract, I don't necessarily know if the Rockies are looking to re-sign and extend Ryan McMahon already. Ryan McMahon under contract until, I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. Ryan McMahon is still under contract for through 2027. So I don't necessarily think the Rockies will do, I can't imagine they'll be changing much up when it comes to the contract. But the interesting thing with Ryan McMahon after this season in 26 and 27, making an extra $4 million a year, going from 12 million up to 16. So I don't think the Rockies necessarily will be going for a new contract with Ryan McMahon. And I don't think Ryan McMahon is going to walk away from that type of money. Let's see. Timothy also adds, I don't think the Rockies will make any more moves. This is the deepest roster they've had in years with MLB and prospects that can fill in. I wouldn't be worried about Jones until late April, early May. It is still spring training with 3 weeks to go. I guess that's that's what we need to put on all of our criticisms of today. There's still time to adjust. There's still time to figure things out in spring training. I just think those warning signs are not good. And Christopher says, I think it's great that Jones is slumping now because when the season starts, he will get hot, and the Rockies are going to need that to start the season based on their tough schedule. Yep, the Rockies are going to need everybody in that offensive lineup to start to contribute and pull their weight around here because it's going to be a brutal start. All right, folks, that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much to Purple Row and Evan Lang, of course, for writing great work, as they always do. Thomas Harding keeping us updated as well on the Rockies from spring. So thanks for those articles that we used today. Go make sure you're supporting those as well, reading them and checking out the sites as well. But folks, thank you so much for making Locked On Rockies your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, if you are getting ready for fantasy baseball, our guys got you covered here. Locked On Fantasy Baseball with Dominic Martino and Matthew Onye. MLB fantasy draft season is here. Be the most informed fan and set yourself up for a league win. So don't miss out on Locked On Fantasy Baseball. That is going to do it for us. Thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. Find us free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. And until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.